Hello everyone, welcome back. It's Anna here. As you know, I'm on the Cambridge Weight Plan. I have been on it since the 1st of June and I have lost a significant amount of weight through it. So this is my channel where I share with you my weight loss on a weekly basis, my weight loss in total, and any reflections that I have from how I've been getting on, the diet, how to succeed, the weight loss process, etc. So this is my space to share. I hope that it's helpful to you and that you find some useful content that can either inspire you, support you, or at least have a forum where you know that there's people that are going through the same things that you may be going through. So on to this week's update. I have lost, this is week 19, which is great news. I have been, I can't believe that it's been that long already. Week 19, this week I lost 1.3 kilos, which is the equivalent of 2.9 pounds, so just shy of 3 pounds, which is great news for any given week. I'm more than happy with that. And my total weight loss today is 32 and a quarter kilos, which is a total of 71.9 pounds. So almost 72 pounds in total, virtually there by a fraction, but that's where I am. So, and that makes a total of 5 stone, 5.1 stone. In 19 weeks, it is a fantastic result. I am thoroughly enjoying being on the Cambridge 1-to-1 diet, and I have found it to be super helpful. I like the structure that following the meals gives me, and I love seeing the progress. And the progress is really starting to show. I've shared in the past that there's been, that I've been shedding clothes. I went clothes shopping last weekend. I am finally on a size 18 on the top, which I can't believe I'm at that stage already. So I am super happy. And then the other piece of news is that my BMI has dropped below 40. So I haven't gone on to 3 products this week. Not yet, because I am due to, I am due to have what happens once a month. And what I've noticed is I get super hungry. So I thought, okay, this is not the week to be reducing down to 3. But I am very determined to follow the plan as it needs to. The requirement is that it's 3. I have double checked that is the right thing for me to do. If I had started the plan on day 1 today and that showed up, they would put me on 3 products, and that's what I'm going to go with, because I am determined to make the diet work for me in the way that it's intended, to learn the lessons that I need to learn through it, including portion control, including how to get used to having different meals from my husband. And even though he's doing it and he's also doing great, and he will be on 4 products, is a good exercise for me to start to disassociate my food from his. Anyway, I am digressing greatly, but just to give you an update of where I am. The topic of this week, I guess I'm a little bit late because it was actually last week. It was Mental Health Week. I believe it was Mental Health Day on Sunday. But this is such an important topic that I did want to touch on it because there is... So I am no professional, disclaimer. I am not trained psychologist or a practitioner or anything like that, right? This is purely my personal experience and my personal beliefs, and therefore I'm just sharing my opinion. Do not take that as as granted and everything. It's just my point of view, but maybe you can relate to it or not. For me, there is a huge correlation between weight gain and mental health, and I do think that weight gain can have a massive impact on your mental health, especially if you let it get out of control. Now, chances are that the mental health wasn't driven by the increase of the weight itself, but there are different things that are driving you to do different things that lead you to the weight gain that then leads to different levels of impact on your mental health. But I do think that there is a big correlation, and therefore I am very, very passionate about being supportive to anybody who is overweight, because more often than not, you see somebody, I mean, there's a lot of people that are happy with being a bigger size, a higher weight, and I have nothing but respect for those people. That's what you want to be. You're happy with it. I wish you all the best, and I hope that you know, you stay in that happy and that you get all the great things in the world for you, right? I'm not shaming. I'm actually, what I want to talk about is fat shaming itself, because there is a lot of people out there in the world that think of people that are overweight as lazy, and they can't take care of themselves, and they just don't care, and all of this sort of thing. There is a lot of stigma associated with it, and more often than not is actually just an external sign of things that you're going through on the inside. So actually it reflects a person, I think, more often than not, when you find somebody who is overweight, and I'm talking about big levels of overweight, right? When you're in the obese and the morbidly obese space, unless you're one of the people that you're really happy with that size, you're likely to find a person in pain and somebody who's suffering, consciously or subconsciously, somebody who is unsatisfied, that is unhappy, that could have a lot of anxiety, that could have a lot of boredom or loneliness or a whole range of different things, and they're using food as a substitute for something else. And there's also a lot of addiction that is driven through food, things like sugar and fat and salt, and the diet that we have grown up with, because we have been told that these are the things you need to be eating that actually are not supportive of the right weight. And they create an addiction. There's, don't quote me on this because I don't know where I got this from, but I've read somewhere that sugar is as addictive, if not more, than cocaine. It triggers the same brain indicators as the cocaine addiction, so there is something there in terms of how sugar gets you hooked to food, and there is a lot to be said for how to deal with that, and there's very little I find to actually help you understand that and deal with it by yourself, or finding the support for it. So a weight loss group in itself is not and I'm not dismissing weight loss groups, but it's not necessarily about the weight. There may be different things that you need to address, as well as the weight and the habits that have led you to put the weight on, that may have mental health causes and root causes that remain to be unaddressed. So how does the weight gain actually have an impact on your mental health? It really affects how you feel overall, because if you're a size that you don't want to be, there's a sense of personal lack of satisfaction with yourself. It activates your inner critic, that inner voice that I think we all have and we need to learn to manage. Starts to play things of, if clothes are not fitting you, look at how you're doing, all of this. It may or it may not lead you to avoid looking at the mirror. It may or may not lead you to feeling bad about yourself. It may or it may not lead you to then comfort eating to feel better, because it gives you a temporary high. And then you feel worse about yourself, and then you get trapped in this vicious loop of eating, feeding, highs, lows, depression, food to compensate for it, high, lows, etc. So there is a lot to be said about that. All of that will impact your self-esteem, your self-love. When it starts impacting your self-esteem, the amount of self-care that you put into yourself, and what you do about yourself, you tend to avoid yourself and looking at yourself in the mirror and all of those things. So it's not, it's not a great place to be. You're not like that because you want to, but somehow it creeps up on you, and it happens. And the other thing that kind of ripple effect carries along with it as well is this very heavy sense of guilt, or at least for me, that it has happened in the past, because you have the size that you want to be, realistic or not. That's a different topic, but you have the size that you want to be, and then you have the size that you are, and in the back of the mind, you know what you should be doing, or you have all of those things that you tell yourself you should be doing, whether they're practical or not. And whether you measure up to that or not is a different story. So how you're doing, or if you go out with friends and then you eat something that you think, I shouldn't be eating this because I'm meant to be dieting, but I'm going to have it anyway, or it's just one day and all of this, and you have it. But in the back of your mind, there's this looming, constant, heavy weight of guilt that you carry with you, this big guilt trip around your choices, this guilt trip about your current status, your size, what you've done, whether you're sticking to a plan or not, the expectations what it should be, and then you can, depending on what you're like and how you're feeling about multiple things, that can expand across a whole range of subjects. The weight could be one thing, it could be a trigger, or something else could be a trigger, and that leads to the weight gain. So, I do want to be very cognizant of that, because I think to be able to start any form of program that is going to be significantly transformative for yourself, be it Cambridge, be it something else, whatever it might be, there is a starting point where you need to, first of all, forgive yourself for having reached whatever state you're in that you don't want to be in anymore. When you reach that saturation point, that point of, I'm going to address this, I'm not going to continue on this path, and I need to do something about it. I guess that kind of trigger point that leads you to look for a change in your life. You reach that point by being unhappy about where you are, which is not a great place to be, because if you're unhappy, then chances are that your mental health, and by that it's basically your mood and your overall sense of self-esteem and self-love, that will be impacted by it. And you're not going to be able to move unless you're willing to just let go of the fact that you got where you are, and you just need to move on from that point, accept that it's happened. Whatever has happened up to that point are things that you needed to go through to get to that point. So actually appreciate yourself and appreciate the person that you are and that you have been to get to that point. So you can say, okay, I'm ready to move forward. You've taken me here, but now I'm focused on looking forward. So having that forward-looking point of view after that is, so forgive yourself, look ahead, and then just find a way of giving yourself something to look forward to, because all of that really boosts your energy, it boosts your outlook on things, it brings excitement, it changes the dynamic, it gets your brain thinking a different way, so you're not going in a spiral of thinking about negative things all this time. It's the inner critic will be there, and it will lurk from time to time, and it will tell you not to do things, but there is a point at which you need to decide, do I want to do something about where I am, or do I want to stay in this position? Believe me, if you've reached that saturation point, it is not a fun place to be at all. So actually, any change is probably worth it, just to try to feel a tiny bit better, and it won't happen overnight. And I also want to emphasize that weight loss is not going to make all of your life's problems go away, okay? Whatever you have to deal with, you need to deal with, but don't take it out on yourself as a way of dealing with what's happening. You need to understand that, you can be the pit of everything that is happening around you, and you're more important than that. So taking care of yourself, forgiving yourself, shedding the guilt, accepting yourself of where you are, who you are, and where you are right now is super important. You are the person you're supposed to be, and actually there's no point in beating yourself up over it. So just accept that. Find a way of addressing your self-talk. And if you hear yourself, we all know that there's like that voice that criticizes you and it kind of has a go. If you hear that, try to say, you're serving no purpose to me, go away, and just think about what is actually going to help me. What action can I take? How can I keep moving forward to what I want? So address that self-talk, and also set boundaries for yourself in different ways, I guess. If you are somebody who's an emotional eater or a comfort eater, you're probably avoiding dealing with those emotions. You're either numbing them or you're just completely trying to block them out. Now, again, I am not expert, right? So I can only go off my experience. So please, please, please take this with a pinch of salt and apply it to yourself in whichever way is relevant. But if you're taking out your problems on yourself through comfort eating, through energy eating, through stress eating, whatever it is, you're not dealing with the problem. You're just creating a different problem for yourself. So there is something there around how do you snap out of that loop. First, you need to identify that you're in some form of loop, and then how do you snap yourself out of it. For me, it's been quite interesting being on the Cambridge plan because by having, being on step one and by having total meal replacements and food that I know is giving me all of the nutritional value that I need, and it's been giving me, making me feel full, giving me the energy that I need for the day to operate. It's been funny because sometimes I've just finished eating and then I felt stressed and I immediately wanted to eat something. And my default reaction before I started this, if I was at work, I would probably find 1,000,001 excuses why I needed to, if I was at work, for example, go to the staff shop and buy a bar of chocolate or a bag of crisps or something like that, or a pack of sweets. If I was at home, I'll find the excuse to make myself a cup of coffee or tea and put more milk than I need to, and maybe have 1 or 2 or 5 biscuits to go along with it, or have that and something else. Or even worse, if I'm having a really bad day, then just going off and baking my own cake, and then it's made, so I have to try it. So I start eating it. Before you know it, over a weekend, the cake is gone. Guess who's ate it? So all of those things happen. And for me, it was just interesting to find how those triggers showed up and actually realizing there's no reason I can't actually feel hungry. There is no reason I should be doing this. So there must be, and I've been able to be on the diet and stick to it and not feel any of these emotions that are leading me to eat before. So it's not the food. I must be going through something that I'm not even aware what it is, but I must have some feeling that is triggering this going on. So actually allowing yourself the space to realize what it is that you're feeling that might be triggering you're wanting to reach out to food as a coping mechanism is a really important way of helping you identify different things that you need to manage. For me, it has helped me to identify that I really need to learn to manage stress. I really need to learn to let off some steam and release my frustrations in constructive ways, whether it's to talk about it, whether it's to scream it out, whether it's to do some exercise. Last week I was joking that I needed to pick up boxing because I was feeling quite frustrated, but then I went for a long walk with my husband. We had a big chat, had this massive big venting session, which took me by surprise. It definitely took him by surprise. But I felt so much better after that. I hadn't realised just how much anger and frustration I had been carrying inside of me. I thought it was just stress. So I've realised that there are multiple emotions at play that I may not even be aware of. But by realising that if I'm feeling different from my usual, if I feel the need to reach out for food, if I feel that I'm craving more sweet things than I don't, I started saying about time of the month, it makes me feel really hungry. These are all things that I wouldn't be conscious of before I started on this plan. And being on the restricted food has helped me to realize that there are things that are impacting my appetite and my cravings. And there are things that I need to deal with in a different way that is not food related. But it's just funny because it is all emotions and it's all part of the mental health element that I need to deal with. Excuse me. To be able to stick to the plan, to be able to take care of myself in the way that I want to. The watermelon water, fave. To, I guess, be aware of what I'm going through and just allow myself to go through it and to find a way of moving forward, which is going to require a different way for me to deal with that than I have done in the past. Um, because whatever strategies I've used in the past clearly haven't worked, they haven't got me the results I wanted, they haven't helped me feel better about myself, and therefore something different is needed. So that's what I'm trying. So I won't say I've cracked it. I'm not saying I'm like totally over this. I'm not saying I don't have problems and I don't have highs and lows from being on the diet. Of course I do. Um, but because I have lost such a significant amount of weight, even if I know that I still got a substantial amount to lose, I feel so much prouder of myself. I feel so much better in myself. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing a lot more. I can see the progress. Of course, I still see all the areas that still need to lose more weight, and every day is a new focus area for me. That is still all there. But I am in a space where I know, well, it's just a matter of time because I'm sticking to my products, I'm sticking to my diet, I'm doing all of the right things, the weight is coming off consistently. So if it's not this month, it'll be the month after that or the month after. So I just have to kind of keep the faith and keep to it and keep my positive outlook and keep focusing on all the right things. I'm actually super enjoying it. I really enjoy the products that I have. I've cracked my fave products and I love them. I look forward to them all the time. So it really has given me things to look forward to, things to feel better about, a big sense of achievement and accomplishment from having lost all the weight that I've lost, 5 stone, even if I still have a lot to go. But it it's not a thing that you do every day. So it is a big accomplishment. Things like moving onto a size 18 on the tops, even if I'm still at 20 on the bottoms, that is a big step. Moving down on the BMI, that's another big milestone. I am about to go down the next weight level in kilos. When you have big transition points, I'm about to get close to a big transition point. I'm so looking forward to that. So it helps me keep positive because I've got things that I'm looking forward to. It has helped me feel better about myself. It's helping me understand my emotions and my reactions. It's not dealing with them for me. I still need to do that myself, and I'm still learning to do that. But I can see different results in myself versus other times, in how I'm feeling and how I'm shedding the weight. So I do think that, I feel better. A lot of people at work, for example, have commented on how they just say you just look so much happier. Your face look radiant, you're always smiling, you look happier. I think I always smile, but maybe it was more like a forced smile, or just kind of that more circumstantial, like, I'm enduring things kind of smile. Whereas now I'm genuinely happy with myself, and I just kind of strut into work and I do my things and I strut out. I just get on with my day. I'm focused on me. I'm focused on doing all the right things. My husband and I, we are happy going through our journey and we talk about it. So I don't even need anybody to tell me that I'm doing the right thing. I just know that I'm happy with what I'm doing. So there is such a positive effect from that sense of having accomplished things that, that's, it goes both ways. It's a bit like a seesaw, and, which side of that do you want to be in? And if you're on the side that you don't want to be on, what can you actually do to help you flip things around? Because nobody can do that by yourself. And the weight itself, like I said, losing weight is not going to solve your life's problems. Those are things you need to deal with yourself. But you have a different outlook when you feel differently about yourself. And if you are losing weight that felt like, if your weight gain starts to weigh on your mind, then there's clearly a big correlation for you between the two, and that might indicate that there are things you need to do for your own well-being. And I'm definitely feeling the benefits of it. So if there's any specific topics in terms of this and how you go through it, this is a very personal thing, and I think it's still fairly taboo. That's why it's great that we have things like, Mental Health Week, that we normalize the fact that we're all going through something. Everybody's dealing with something in one way or another. So we all often think that it's just ourselves, because you don't talk about your emotions, especially the negative ones. There is a sense that you need to be positive and happy and like full on all the time. And you don't, and you need to accept that it's okay to not feel well, but what's not okay is to stay stuck in that position, because you'll suffer from it. And what I want to encourage you is to try to find a way to, if you're going through that, think of things that you can do to snap out of it, because it's not a fun place to be. And actually there are things you can do to make a big difference for yourself, and you're not alone. So there's plenty of people you can reach out to. So I will stop there. Hopefully it's made sense. I am very passionate about things. I do want to normalize the fact that we're all going through different forms of emotions that we're still learning to deal with, and that may be impacting us in different ways. And for me, I have majorly used food in the past as a coping mechanism for all sorts of things. So, I've got my own ways and my own experience of dealing with that. So if you ever have any questions, then reach out, and I'll be more than happy to do anything I can to help you out if possible. So I hope that you're all having a great week. I am looking forward to getting weight next week. It's another big weight day, and we'll get measured, and I'll check how much inches I have lost, etc. So and like I said, I've got a big milestone, and then I'll be going down to 3 products. Last week I think I was avoiding that because I was clinging into my 4th product for food, but I know I need to go down to the next 3, so I'm actually now finally ready to take that on. It's part of the next stage of, if I want to get to the way that I want to be, I need to shift how I'm thinking about food. So that's kind of like my next target, my next learning. So I'm thoroughly looking forward to that now. So yes, hope you have a great week. All the best, and please subscribe, set the alert for notifications, leave me any comments, let me know of anything that you'd want to go through, or please share with me if any of the things that I have covered today ring true to you, or if you have any questions on that subject, or on the Cambridge diet and how the process works. More than happy to connect with any of you. So all the best, and I'll see you next week. Bye.